Hello there folks, my name is Spoonks and welcome back to another episode of Box Office Chat. This is the show where I break down the top 5 domestic box office results, see where each movie landed, and see how well each movie did, so let's get started. Number 5 was Death on the Nile, making $2.7 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $37 million and a worldwide total of $115 million. So despite falling short domestically, this film was able to surpass its initial budget of $90 million worldwide and surpass $100 million worldwide as well. A lot of the international numbers have been doing a lot of the heavy lifting. This film has made an audience out of itself internationally, as you can clearly see by the huge difference between domestic and the worldwide totals, which is very interesting to say the least. Something similar happened with The King's Man, where it didn't really impress. It impressed with the holds and the drop-offs, but as far as general numbers domestically, it just didn't do well. But internationally, that's where the real heavy lifting started to come through. It found an audience overseas as well and was able to cross 100 million worldwide. So it's interesting to see a similar thing happening here with this movie as well. It's interesting because one, I don't think that this film really translated well over here. The first film wasn't all that remembered, as you can clearly see, and no one was really asking for a sequel. But I'm guessing, like with other various popular icons that we've seen, like maybe Wallace and Gromit, or even Ice Age, it was able to find a massive audience and become a bigger hit and register well with much more of an international audience. So because of that, this film is having a chance. It's not going to double its budget by any means necessary, but I think it's, given where it's at right now, this is more than satisfying. I can't see anyone being mad where the film is at right now worldwide, and I don't think Disney's mad either, as last week at the time of this recording they announced a sequel to this film. We are getting a third film in this Hercule Poirot film series with Kenneth Branagh set to return to direct and star in whatsoever. So there's that. If you were happy with this movie and you really enjoyed it, you're getting more of them. So while this movie is not the huge global hit that many of the other films we will discuss that are right now, or even reach the heights of the first film, it was able to surpass its initial budget, and right now I think that's more than enough. Number 4 was Spider-Man No Way Home, making $4.5 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $786 million and a worldwide total of $1.8 billion. So even with a new comic book movie out this weekend, it wasn't enough to take a huge chunk out of this film's success. It actually had the best hold out of any of the movies released this weekend, just falling 22%, which is fantastic. This puts its domestic total just 14 million away from 800 million domestically, and right now that seems like a bit of an ask right now. I don't think it's going to get to that total because of where it's at, and it is starting to slow down despite having very solid holds for the past couple of weeks. Just don't think it's gonna get there. I can see it crossing 790 million domestically by next week, but 800 million doesn't seem like it's gonna get there. As for $2 billion, just seems like a bit of a reach. Once again, starting to slow down, and I do think over these couple of weeks it's going to slow down significantly. It's still going to have like very strong holds, of course. This movie is just a juggernaut, and because last week we were given a release date for when this film will be available to watch at home on demand, late March, and available to watch on Blu-ray and DVD mid-April. I think that's the point where it will be slowing down, falling out of the top 5 charts, but that's not to degrade how successful this movie is. I've said it before and I'll say it again, just a juggernaut of a movie. The fact that the movie made as much as it did is just insane. Not much more else to add, but another weekend for Spider-Man, and it was very successful. Who would have guessed? Number 3 was Dog, making $6.1 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $40 million and a worldwide total of $44 million. So while Spider-Man No Way Home was really impressive and hugely successful, I gotta be honest, I am more impressive with how well this movie has done at the box office than Spider-Man, because let's face it, we all knew Spider-Man was gonna be a huge honkin' success. No one was really expecting anything over this movie about Channing Tatum going on a cross-country road trip with a dog. We were all expecting it to just end up by the wayside like Marry Me. But the fact that the movie not only exceeded those expectations, but were able to exceed them to such a degree is really fascinating. This film has doubled its budget and tripled it due to the worldwide numbers, and has provided much needed counter programming to all the big huge blockbusters. Even though it didn't have the best hold out of the films in the top 5, it still had a very solid hold, dipping 40% from its previous weekend, which is very impressive. It's still maintaining its core audience. Word of mouth is very strong. People are really enjoying this movie. I'm very pleased to see this movie doing as well as it is, because it is truly, and I'm sorry for the pun, but the underdog of the box office right now. I'm curious to see where it will go from here. I see no reason why it won't surpass 50 million domestically, and I wouldn't even be surprised to see it surpass Jackass Forever in a couple weeks. So yeah, once again, good job, dog. You are doing very well at the box office right now. Number 2 was Uncharted, making 11 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $100 million and a worldwide total of $271 million. While this movie did take a bigger hit than last weekend, it's honestly not that bad when you think about it. For a film in its third weekend to only drop 53%, that's honestly, it could have been a lot worse, to say the least, with this movie. Given the critical reception, the fact that this movie has made as much as it has is nothing to laugh about. The fact that it was able to become the second movie of the year to cross 100 million domestically, and it's about to cross 300 million, shows how audiences are clearly responding to this better than the critics. Word of mouth is a lot stronger than many would have anticipated, and the film has become really successful because of that. It's already become one of the most successful video game movies ever, and it's going to continue climbing those charts. Don't think it's gonna reach Sonic the Hedgehog or Detective Pikachu levels domestically, that is, but it's still gonna be a huge hit. Don't think anyone is really upset with how well this movie has done thus far. It really is a huge hit at the moment, and I think word of mouth is still going to help it out for the next couple of weeks. After a while, I do think it's going to start slowing down. Don't think it's going to have that repeat value that Spider-Man No Way Home had, but even with that, it's still not going to stop how hugely successful this movie is right now. But if there was something that would stop Uncharted from being as successful as it is, it would be the number 1 movie of the weekend, which was, of course, The Batman, opening with $134 million domestically and $258 million worldwide. So let's break this down. First off, obviously, this is the very first film of the year to open over 100 million domestically. Sorry, Uncharted. And I definitely think that's going to be a while before another film opens to this degree. Maybe Doctor Strange, maybe Sonic the Hedgehog 2. That's a little bit of a risky choice, I know, but it's got a lot of anticipation, so you never know. But I think the bet with that is definitely Doctor Strange, since everything else, even Sonic the Hedgehog 2, is probably not going to reach near the level of success this movie did opening weekend. Holy crap. It is also the second biggest opening weekend post-theater closure era of this pandemic. Wanted to give it a better name because we are still in a pandemic, ladies and gentlemen, so let's not pretend that we're out of the waters just yet. Obviously, coming in second behind Spider-Man's massive opening weekend back in December, but also topping Venom Let There Be Carnage's 90 million from October, which is rather impressive. And it's also the first Warner Brothers film to open over 100 million since 2017, when It, the first chapter to be more specific, opened to over 100 million back when it was released in late September of that year. Just a huge, gigantic opening weekend. It is already the biggest movie of the year domestically. Worldwide, it's still got to face off some films from China, but that's not going to stop this film from being a huge success. I'm very happy that this film was able to reach that success, as it is not saying anything about my thoughts on the movie, because the video will be out later this week, but I'm just happy that it was able to do so, because just given everything about the film, how different it is and how uniquely it stands out from the other various comic book superhero movies right now, is just amazing. Very happy that it's able to reach its success. I'm sure everyone who made the film is proud that it was as successful as it was, and I'm sure everyone who saw the film and loved it is proud that it was as successful as it is. And what really benefited the film was the marketing and how positive the reviews are for the film, and audiences seem to really enjoy it as well. It has an A- on CinemaScore, which is a very solid rating. You can't go wrong with an A- at the very least. I'm very curious to see where it will go from here. Obviously, it's going to continue to be very successful, one of the biggest movies of the year for quite some time, given how slow the month of March is going to be for the next couple weeks. There really isn't anything major hitting until The Lost City at the end of the month. But I'm very curious to see if it will have repeat value. Will it drop significantly, like, say, Spider-Man No Way Home or Jackass Forever, where they were still successful, obviously, but they faced over 60% drops? Or will it be something like Uncharted, or, can't believe I have to bring this up, but Dog, where it has a very solid hold for the second week? I don't know, but I think it's going to continue to be a huge success. I can't see anyone being upset over this opening weekend. What a massive hit. And yeah, I look forward to seeing how well it does in the future, but right now the Batman is starting very strong. And those were the top 5 domestic box office results for this weekend, and normally this would be the part of the video where I would discuss the upcoming new movies hitting theaters this weekend and where I think they would land in the top 5 and how successful they would be. But unfortunately, there seems to be no new movies hitting theaters this weekend for the second time in a row, I believe, which is unfortunate, because originally there was supposed to be a new release by Pixar, Turning Red. It was supposed to be their grand return to movie theaters, but unfortunately in early January, Disney made the decision to skip the theatrical release entirely, except in some theaters in New York City, Los Angeles, and San Francisco, and countries where Disney Plus is not available. But it will not be releasing in any movie theaters except for the ones I mentioned, and be going on to Disney Plus, which is unfortunate, but hey, what are you gonna do? They made the decision. So yeah, it seems that there will probably not be a new box office chat next weekend, but if there is something that does crack in the top 5 that I am unaware is actually coming out this weekend, or if there's a shuffle in the current top 5, like if a movie does better than one movie or if a movie does worse than another, I'll be sure to discuss where those movies land in the top 5 on the next box office chat. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of Box Office Chat. What did you all think of the results? Were you satisfied, unsatisfied? Comment down below and let me know. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you like this channel, hit the subscribe button. Follow me on all the social media links right there. And until next time, everyone, stay sharp.